Welcome to the Explainer. So if you've ever found yourself just staring at a blinking cursor while writing a professional email, feeling that totally relatable panic of wondering, wait, should I type, I look forward to hear from you, or I look forward to hearing from you? Well, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're going to unpack a structural mechanism that is literally going to change how you understand English verbs forever. We're not just looking at arbitrary rules here, we're diving into the hidden architecture of the language.
Let's start with a universal truth that every single English learner knows deep in their bones. Memorizing verbs is just exhausting, right? It's a huge shared pain point. For years, we've all been handed these massive, long lists of verbs and basically just told to memorize which ones take an infinitive and which ones take a gerund. But why? Well, because the actual logic, the underlying structural why, hasn't been properly explained. And when you don't have a mechanism to understand it, you're forced into this frustrating, endless loop of rote memorization. But today, we're throwing those lists away.
To see exactly what I mean, let's look at the central mystery for our explainer today. We've got two incredibly similar sentences. Sentence 1, I help students to read. And sentence 2, I help students in reading. Native speakers and learners alike use these interchangeably all the time. Or honestly, they just kind of guess which one feels right. Take a second. Which one would you use? Because they actually mean two completely distinct, entirely different things. I want you to hold on to this exact question in your mind, okay? We're going to come back and solve this mystery the second we finish building our new mental toolkit.
Okay, let's dive into this and open up that toolkit, starting with the infinitive. I really don't want you to think of the infinitive as a boring grammar rule anymore. Instead, I want you to visualize it as a physical piece of engineering. An infinitive connects two verbs when we want to bridge a literal gap between the subject or the object and the action. Think of the word to as an actual physical bridge. So whenever you see it, it means there's a gap, a real distance, between the person and the action they want to do. Let's see how this bridge actually operates out in the wild. If I say, I want to study physics, the subject, which is I, is completely separated from the action of studying physics. I'm not studying it yet. There's a physical gap in reality. The speaker wants to bridge this gap as an intention, so we use the infinitive to study. Now, if I tweak it just a little and say, I want you to study physics, the mechanism stays exactly the same. Only here, the speaker wants the listener, you, to bridge that gap between themselves and the action. In both cases, the word to is doing all the heavy lifting. It's acting as the bridge over that empty space. So, if the infinitive is a bridge over a gap, what happens when that gap just completely vanishes? Well, enter the gerund. We use the gerund to indicate that the speaker or listener is doing the action from time to time, and there is absolutely no separating bridge at all. I mean, you don't need a bridge if you're already standing right in the middle of the territory, right? Think about the phrase, I enjoy studying physics. Notice how there's no to here? There's zero gap between the speaker and the action. And why is that? Because the speaker studies physics from time to time. It's an ongoing, recurring reality. You can't truly enjoy an action if you're fundamentally separated from it by a gap. You're actively immersed in it. So, no gap means no bridge, which means no to. You just use the gerund, studying. Now, let's move on and see how this applies to those really tricky exceptions. The verbs that seem to break all our rules. Look at verbs like help, let, and make. Do you notice anything missing when we use them? I help others study physics. I let others study physics. I make others study physics. There's no infinitive to connecting these verbs. Wait, if there's a gap between the person and studying physics, why isn't there a bridge? Why do these specific verbs suddenly abandon the normal infinitive rules we literally just established? Well, here is the aha twist. These specific verbs don't take to because the gap is being actively bridged by the speaker in the exact moment they're speaking. Think about the logic for a second. The word to usually indicates that the gap is still just sitting there waiting to be crossed. But with verbs like make or let, the speaker's action right then and there is what forces the connection. The speaker is the bridge. Because they're forcing or allowing the action right now, there's absolutely no need for the word to sit there and hold the space. The gap is being closed in real time. Which brings us right back to our opening mystery. We now have the complete mechanism, right? We understand the to as a bridge over a gap and the gerund as a space where the gap has completely vanished. So let's look at our two sentences again. I help students to read and I help students in reading. We are finally fully equipped to solve this. Only now we aren't just guessing based on vibes, we are applying pure structural logic. The crucial point is revealed right away in our first sentence. I help students to read. We hear the word to and that tells our brain instantly there is a gap. The students do not know how to read yet. They are fully separated from the action.
Because of that, the speaker has to put on their hard hat and do the fundamental work of building that connection from scratch. They are bridging the gap between the students and the action of reading. Basically, the speaker builds the bridge and then continues helping once it's complete.
Now contrast that with our second sentence. I help students in reading. We hear the gerund, the ing. The bridge is gone. What does that mean for us? It means the gap has already been bridged by the students themselves. They already know how to read. They are actively reading from time to time. The speaker here is just stepping into an ongoing process to help them continue. Maybe to make their reading faster, or more comprehensive, or more advanced. The fundamental gap is gone, so the infinitive to is entirely unnecessary.
I mean, look at how powerful that is. You just deciphered a really complex grammatical nuance, and you didn't do it by referencing some dusty old chart. You did it by understanding the underlying architecture of the words, which leaves us with this final empowering question. Why memorize when you can understand the mechanism? Once you see the infinitive as a bridge and the gerund as an ongoing, gapless reality, the language suddenly just opens up to you. You're no longer memorizing blind rules. You're navigating logic. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today. Next time you read a sentence, look for the gaps, look for the bridges, and see the hidden machinery for yourself.